$20 for egg donors. Fertility has become big business, but some ads show buyers may be looking to create a custom-made dream child.
It's buying what you want in a child. I'm not in favor of it.
I don't think life can be bought and sold like that.
CBN News looks at the promises and problems with the brave new world of baby making. He's won millions on the PGA Tour, but a foolish decision nearly cost him his career. Steve Jones talks about life-changing moments, taking you from information to understanding. This is the 700 Club.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of the 700 Club. I'm Gordon Robertson.
And I'm Lisa Ryan.
Lisa, I understand today we're going to have a very special demonstration with you, proving your putting skills.
With me? Great. Last week it was your turn, now it's my turn.
It is your turn. Andrew, our producer, is going to give us this.
You know, I'm hoping my dad's golf lessons when I was a kid are going to pay off here.
And what we're going to do is going to do this. and then you're going to teach now. Okay.
This is too tempting.
I knew I could get you interested in this. Well, coming up, a U.S. Open Championship was a dream come true for Steve Jones, but after a motorcycle accident, Steve doubted he would ever play again. His incredible moment of truth later in the show. But first, why are women from Ivy League colleges fast becoming a sought-after solution for infertile couples?
Top schools like Yale, Harvard, and Stanford are becoming fertile recruiting grounds for infertile couples looking for more than just egg donors. These couples want a kid with an IQ, and reporter Christine Vick examines this controversial new trend in reproductive technology.
This is one of many similar ads found in college newspapers across the country, particularly at the Ivy League schools. It offers $50,000 to an egg donor that is athletic and scored at least 1,400, a near-perfect score, on her SATs.
This ad ran about 3 times in February.
James Hedgie is business manager at the Harvard Crimson. He says the ads are common, but the $50,000 reward is unusual.
The typical dollar amount for an egg donor offer is between $6,000 and $8,000. People usually mention a height, an SAT score. They're also looking for physical attributes, slim, dark hair.
For some college students, the big payouts are tempting.
I think that it would really help me out with my college career. And while in the future it might mean that there's another little me running around and everything, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Other students are outraged.
It's buying what you want in a child. I'm not in favor of it. I think that it goes against everything that nature stands for.
I don't think life can be bought and sold like that.
Scientist Jonathan Kimmelman teaches a class on the ethics of microbiology at Yale. The controversial ads have been running in the Yale Daily News, too.
The minute you introduce market values into the process of making a family, you begin to introduce the imperatives of the market. One invests money with the expectation of reaping dividends, for example, and one runs the risk in this case of having the same expectations on one's child.
Paying high dollar for donors is one of many controversial approaches to baby making. Today, parents try to determine everything from the sex of the child to the exact day it's born. And as reproductive technologies improve, having a custom-made dream child is conceivable.
It is perfectly within their right to seek the characteristics that they would like to see in that child. I think the danger here is there is no guarantee, there is absolutely no guarantee that they will get a child who is capable of scoring 1,450 on the SATs or stand 5'10".
Dr. Irvin Jones is chief of in vitro medicine at Yale New Haven Medical Hospital. He says most of his patients aren't choosy about characteristics. They just want to have a baby.
I've seen many rewards, and I'll have to tell you one of the greatest rewards is when the couple will send us a picture.
The pictures line the walls of the clinic. All of these children have been born with the help of science. Stefan and Yvonne Abeline hope to add one more picture to the collection.
We have been trying for close to 15 years.
After years of disappointments, the Abelines enrolled in the egg donation program at Yale New Haven.
We had no specific requirements. For us, like I said before, number one is to just have a child, and then I believe that how that child will be when it grows up is largely a function of how the parents take care of the child, how they treat the child.
On this day, Dr. Jones transferred 3 embryos from a petri dish into Yvonne's uterus. In 2 weeks, they will know if she's pregnant.
the many ups and downs. When you get into these programs with assisted reproduction, the ups and the downs are more heavier, so to speak, more pronounced. So you can be very happy for some time and optimistic, and then when you find out that the results are not there, or you can become very depressed.
If the procedure isn't successful, they say this will be the last attempt for emotional and financial reasons.
Sometimes you can almost lose track of life a little bit. Of course, you get too absorbed in the whole program and what's going on.
Egg donation is the most successful assisted reproductive technology available today. Since the first donor egg baby was born 15 years ago, more than 5,000 others have been born. This year alone, donor eggs will be implanted in more than 5,000 women. Clearly, the market rules of supply and demand have kicked in, and egg donation has become big business. Now there are even egg brokerages on the internet, where couples can browse profiles of hundreds of potential donors. Because buying human eggs is banned in some countries, many couples from overseas purchase eggs through these websites and have them frozen and shipped. Kimmelman argues that this catalog style of shopping corrupts the core tenets of good parenting.
What you're expressing when you pre-select certain traits in your child is that there are certain traits that will make that child more lovable than other traits. The concern is that when you express that, you're essentially eroding the notion of unconditional love.
The roster of traits that scientists can test for is growing, and the cost of testing for these is decreasing dramatically. Kimmelman predicts that in the next 20 years, humans will be able to essentially design their babies.
We can genetically engineer bacteria now. We can genetically engineer mice. And I think the day is not that far away when we can actually genetically engineer human beings.
Infertility specialists like Jones believe genetic manipulation, if used in the appropriate way, is a good thing.
If we can help a couple have a normal child, whereas they had no chance of having a normal child without this technology, I believe that we are obligated to do that.
But it's the looming dangers of this technology that have experts fearful of what they call a brave new world, a world where humans can be genetically designed and cloned.
I think it's highly probable, and I think that that's why it's important to begin the moral discussion at this point in the game, and to build the institutions to evaluate the very thorny ethical, social, and political questions that this raises.
Christine Vick, CBN News, New Haven, Connecticut.
You know what's scary about that, though? What if you get that latent gene that, you know, from some strange relative down in your past? There's always a latent gene somewhere that's going to come out. You have no guarantee that you're going to get some bizarre character trait in that child.
Well, that's what they were saying. There's no guarantee. I do think it's wonderful that science has allowed infertile couples to bear children and to have the joy of raising children in their home. But certainly as we get into the marketplace of egg donation, I don't know, Lisa, would you be willing, if the price were right, to give one of you? I mean,
if I needed
they were
to go
talking
to college
big money.
Bad enough?
They were talking big money. $50,000 is a lot of money when you're 18, 19, 20 years old.
Through college, and so I can see where it would be very tempting for them. But I think there are some ethical things that we have to look at, and I don't know, it wouldn't be the right thing for me.
Would you feel that you're giving up part of yourself?
I would feel that part of that child is part of me. And, but like you, I think that medicine has been able to do so many wonderful things for people who are infertile, who really desire a baby, but some of the ethical problems that we're having when we start trying to make designer babies and make some kind of a superior race, we've had that idea around before, can be very dangerous, because God is the one who has ordained life, and we are not the ones who can pick and choose what we want our child to be.
Whether we want blue eyes or blonde hair or whatever.
Well, if you'd like some more information about this topic, we have a fact sheet that we'd like to send to you for free. It's called Designer Babies. Has Genetic Engineering Gone Too Far? And you can give us a call and we'll send this out to you right away if you want some more information from that report. Gordon?
Well, as we learned from our first story, some people will go to great lengths in order to acquire the perfect child. But what about children born with physical or mental challenges? You're about to meet Camille and Mike Geraldi. They've adopted over 40 children, most discarded by their parents due to social imperfections. but Geraldis know that every child is of great value to God.
This is Camille Geraldi, and her greatest love in life is caring for her children, all 44 of them. Her story is more than just about how she cares for them. It is more than inspiring or amazing. It is compelling, convicting, and it is godly. Camille and her pediatrician husband Michael have been married almost 22 years now and have spent the greater part of their marriage caring for the children no one else wanted.
Mike and I met at the hospital. I was 400 pounds, and he was the resident that everybody was after, and we met over a dying child. And he said, "Why are you here? You never work nights." And I said, "Well, how could I leave her? She's dying." He said, "You are kidding me." He said, "You don't go home if the baby's dying?" I said, "Absolutely not. I will not leave this child." He said, "We're going to do this together one day." And I said, "That's great, because I want to have a home and I'll need a doctor." He said, "No." He said, "We're going to do this together as husband and wife." And he walked out of the room.
And with that, they married, and shortly thereafter found themselves adopting babies, Down syndrome babies. But these babies also had very serious physical needs as well. Many have already had one or more open heart operations. Others were born missing certain organs. Several others needed major reconstructive surgery like colostomies. Some needed tracheotomies. One baby they have recently adopted is Donovan. He was born with no esophagus, a major heart defect, and a host of other complications. Doctors expected him to die shortly after he was born. When he didn't, they called Camille.
And we took him home, and when I tell you, work, we fight. I mean, you know what? It's been worth every minute, because when we had the first heart surgery, he's had several heart surgeries. When he had the first heart surgery, he would not take his eyes off me. And I couldn't leave the hospital because I knew that whenever he opened his eyes, he was getting his strength from me. So I just couldn't not be there for him.
Donovan is one of many, though, and his story can be told over and over. Mike and Camille have seen this ministry grow from several babies to more than 40. Half are living here outside of Hayesville, North Carolina, and the others, including her husband Mike, are still in Miami. The reason they are moving the whole organization to North Carolina is a simple one, but also a very painful one.
In Miami, things were just getting worse for us, and it was becoming very, very uncomfortable with the threats and people not wanting us in the community, the damage to our homes and vehicles, that our decision was, maybe we ought to consider moving to North Carolina.
As they make their new life in North Carolina, Camille is busy making life structured and organized for her children. They rise early in the morning, and the staff and volunteers help Camille get the children ready for school. Russ Youngblood left a successful real estate business to work full-time with Camille in establishing a school for handicapped children. Presently, he takes some of the adults to a local hotel to fold napkins. It teaches them useful skills, and it is something they look forward to. Leanne and Joanne also help Camille with the younger children. They are very capable and extremely patient with them. The cost of running the foundation is high, close to $1 million a year, and funds sometimes come slowly, and they rely solely on donations. The shortfall is always made up from Michael's pediatric practice in Miami.
Groceries probably run between $2,500 and $3,000 a month.
What about diapers?
Boy, diapers are another whole issue. Diapers run another $2,000 a month. The problem is the attends now, is that some of the children and the adults are older and they're still incontinent. We still, have to keep them in diapers, so that's where it becomes a lot more expensive. So it's becoming more expensive instead of less expensive.
As hard as some of these earthly tests can be, like Hurricane Andrew, which nearly wiped out their entire ministry, Camille rises above all that because she knows God and she knows she's been called.
A lot of people ask you if you have ulterior motives.
I didn't choose this. God chose me to do this. And I don't have an ulterior motive except to do this godly work every day. And I look at my children and I see God's eyes in every one of them, and I get my thank you from them. I don't need it from anybody else. Well, I have very high expectations for them because I know that they can do it. And I know that we can reach, if maybe not for the sun and the moon, we can reach for the clouds and the stars. And I know that if these children are given the encouragement to go forward, they can do that.
That's just a fantastic story. She says, I can see God's you can see God in their eyes. I can see the light of God in each one of them.
Well, you can see that
wonderful.
God has given her a huge heart to love these children and to take in the unlovables, the ones that other people don't want to keep or can't keep. And so she takes them in, she loves them, she sees God in them and cares for them as though they were her own. And so we want to encourage you, if you would like to help Camille in some way, log on to our website. We'll have more information about Camille and her story there, and if you would possibly like to help in some way, we'll give you some information, but just log on to our website, cbnnow.com, and get more information about Camille and the incredible work that she's doing to love some of the unlovable kids in this world. She's doing a great work.
It's fantastic. I can't imagine having 40 children, and a monthly grocery bill of $2,500 to $3,000 a month. That's more than most people's mortgages. And,
that's right.
And they spend that every month for food. So if you'd like to support, log on to the website, cbnnow.com, and we'll have a special place there for you to click on if you'd like to give them some support.
Well, we'll be back with more of the 700 Club right after this. Stay with us.
A motorcycle mishap seemed to spell tragedy for PGA winner Steve Jones.
I didn't know how to stop the thing. I could take off, but I was like, I didn't know how to stop.